Team battle.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menace.
Hello everybody and welcome to some collegiate Dota. I'm Llama. I'm gonna be joined by Chaz. How you doing?
I am doing well, Llama. How are you?
Excellent on this fine Thursday. Now to catch people back up on what they may have missed, we had UC Davis beat UC Irvine, which is, fun rivalry there. Everyone knows Davis is better. Just throwing that out there. And now tonight we're going to have Michigan up against Michigan State, which I have to imagine is another rivalry. And then later on we will have Colorado with Denver facing CU Boulder. But let's get into it. I believe we have one of the, kind of the reigning top teams, one of the finalists from last year playing.
Absolutely. Michigan last year was the team to beat in the North. They went 7-0 in fall, 7-0 in spring, and losing only to the champions, British Columbia, in the grand finals. So University of Michigan is definitely the top dog going into this year.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to see them up here. But got a draft on our hands. Ogre Magi picked up first. I like that. It's a good hero. But it looks like University of Michigan. This is gonna be fun. Definitely going to say horrible things with the names. I'm kind of interested in this Drow strat that's forming.
And Drought just been such a staple of this 6.88 meta. Not really surprised at all to see her picked up so early. And Keeper of the Light as well. Slightly adjusted with the latest 6.88F patch, but all in all, I'm very excited to see how Caudle will be played after the change, with Mana Leak no longer being his go-to lane bullying ability, but shifting more into the strength of Illuminate. It's going to be interesting to see how Michigan plays it.
That's gonna be fun. I agree. It'll be interesting to see how Michigan plays it. So, we've got some interesting bans coming out here as well. I maybe wasn't expecting some things like the Axe and Oracle, also another interesting one to see. So, not sure if these two teams, maybe they've scrimmed some being near each other. Maybe they have some more intel that we don't know about. Also, always at this level of Dota, you got to account for the whole. There might be someone on one of these teams who's the best Templar Assassin player in the state.
And it's as we were kind of touching on in the Tuesday broadcast. A lot of these players aren't in the top echelon of Dota players. They are very good by all means, but some of them just have comfort picks that they would much rather rely on over other picks, for instance. So that Rider might seem like a semi-odd ban given all the nerfs he's been receiving, but maybe that's the go-to pick for Michigan State. So it's you can't really compare the collegiate meta with the pro scene meta, and I think that's what makes this league so much fun.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite things about casting Dota in general. The difference with some, because you even see this sometimes at the higher levels, the newly formed or newly named Team Imperial, like they used to have a player who just would pick Alk, and like when Alk wasn't in the meta, and so we get to see similar fun things where maybe we'll get to see a few less popular heroes, but Storm Spirit comes out. Definitely a great gap closer here, but you do have to be careful. If you get hit by that Drow Silence, it's not going to be a good time.
And all of Michigan State draft so far is very aggressive, very in-your-face, and that's something Drow really needs to be conscious of going into it. We obviously know the strength of marksmanship and how it falls off with people on top of her, such as that Phantom Assassin or the Storm Spirit. So it looks like this draft for Michigan is going to have to be a slightly more reactionary moving forward when MSU has just gone completely aggressive with the draft.
Yeah, I actually really like this super aggressive draft, but just hoping it's going to be a bloodbath. Slaughter, a nice one to set up getting a pick maybe before the push. And actually Michigan, University of Michigan haven't shown if they're going to be doing a full-on push yet. You know, they could try to do that carry Drow. They could try to just do a push with Slaughter to pick off, or a similar role to a Tidehunter, being that kind of frontliner who initiates. But they could also just say, hey, we're going to try a farming Drow, see how that works.
Dire team pick.
Oh, Disruptor as well. This is looking like a very strong draft coming out from Michigan State here. A lot of people consider them underdogs coming into this matchup. Last year, they did not do nearly as well as University of Michigan, missing playoffs altogether. So it'll be, it's an uphill battle for them, but by no means should we count them out. A year is plenty of time to improve at Dota, and so far I'm really digging their draft.
Yeah, I'm also, I just feel like they've done a really good job here of countering a lot of, I mean, Disruptor's going to make Slaughter's lane very painful. Ogre Magi will make sure that Phantom Assassin can, you know, get in those crits, but either way, we'll have to see. Venge coming out, so yes, we're pushing. There's no doubt anymore. And,
push lineups in this meta are still dominant. You know, it's with the draft of Michigan State, it is very clear that they want to go aggressive and get these pickoffs and whatnot, but these push lineups in the 6.88 meta just generate gold at such a rapid rate that there's a very good chance Michigan will be able to fight right back as soon as the picks come. So it's going to need to be quite early and quite often that Michigan need to be knocking down towers.
Yeah, no. Definitely have the lineup to do it. I also wonder if we'll see a little bit of Cottle trying to jungle some, just get extra economy in, or if they could even run 2-1-2 here and just say, hey, we'll make sure that the Phantom maybe doesn't get as much by having...
I would imagine that Cottle really wants that quick Aghanims. It's just the strength of the Aghanims for push lineups, it just extends your push by so much. So I would imagine that we see the Cottle, as you mentioned, either 2-1-2 or spending quite a bit of time in the jungle farming up the Aghanims.
10 seconds remaining.
And it's always interesting because, right, they'll have the early tower gold to get it, but either way, Medusa ban out, it makes sense. I'm surprised. I guess I think there are also some other heroes they could have gone with, but Medusa very strong with that snake, also range, so would benefit from the Drow aura. And she's a great contingency plan, right? If the early push doesn't work, sometimes with the Drow lineup, you're really in trouble because you don't have anything left. But this way, you're gonna have a backup if you had a Medusa, but no more. And Tide banned out. Okay.
Ten seconds
And
remaining.
looking We're about to burn into some reserve time here. What are you thinking would work out in this lineup?
Reserve time.
Which actually means I've most likely killed my co-caster. Well, team, we've succeeded at one thing. We've accidentally eliminated our co-caster already, so we'll wait and see what's happening there with Chad. But moving around... Oh, I hear you're back.
Apologies.
10 seconds remaining.
I was talking to myself there for a moment.
Don't even
I'll
worry.
mute.
This happens. This
Far too
happens
often.
all the time. I've done whole I've done I think 5 minutes of the game one time. Anyway, it goes through the Puck, who of course benefits from Drow and Night Stalker. So you were right about this aggression. We got a crazy game on our hands.
And the collegiate meta, let me tell you, is my favorite meta. This is something that most people equate to CIS Dota, but honestly, it's such a staple of collegiate Dota. The fast action and just continued aggression is truly what I love. In Night Stalker, when was the last time I've seen a Night Stalker, right? So, all in all, very excited to see how this draft pulls together in game.
Yeah, and I do agree with you. There's the benefits of it being fast, and also if they can actually, when you run a Storm Spirit, if you can make sure that you get those pickoffs, even if you're trading, as long as the Storm stays alive once he has his Bloodstone, right? Just gonna have a fun time. So
10 seconds
be
remaining.
good. Waiting for one last person to pick up their hero. This is strategy time. Like, they are just blatantly talking things through.
Puck as the last pick here is fairly interesting. I'm going to start with a pause. You know, the traditional Dota experience here. But Puck, as you mentioned, does benefit from the Drought Aura, but not really the pushing mid that we were thinking they might go for. Medusa, in my mind, was the pick for them, right? It was banned out last phase, but gonna see how they adjust their playstyle with the Puck in the lineup as well. Probably gonna be roaming around a lot with the Slardar, attempting to slow down the aggression at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think both lineups, there's definitely a tall order in this first night for the Night Stalker, right? Like, if they... That's really the point where you can delay the push by 5-10 minutes, and that could be enough that suddenly the Phantom Assassin, if she gets the jump on the drive... Yeah, so also the pinging. Do you wanna break down all this pinging? Because, like, I was...
So, this is also a staple of collegiate players, and it's high stress. I myself, being a college student, am constantly stressed.
So you
So-
ping.
Yeah, you have to ping. You know, it's a good stress relief. One ping often isn't sufficient, you know? And drawing on the map, like I mentioned, just phallic imagery really helps unstress.
No, that's
the
an
college
ice
student.
cream cone that's been dropped. Come on.
That's what I said, ice cream cone.
Exactly.
Ice cream imagery on the minimap really helps college students de-stress, and you'll see that a bunch throughout the series, hopefully.
Excellent, excellent. I do love the upside down ice cream cones. Now, I love seeing this, the early D ward. Something I love doing personally because I play a lot of support, but it's always really common. And both of these teams, you could see them pinging like mad in the mid lane. They're both expecting lane wards, especially in matchups where you're expecting a lot of trading. So, but looks like normal rune split. We're not going to see any early contests.
Yeah, it's... While you've heard me laud over the early aggression of collegiate teams early. Runes are a completely different story. I don't think we've seen any rune fights so far in this season of CSL. It's most of the time, get it to your mid and get them accelerated. Help that mid lane get rolling. Because oftentimes on these teams, the mid laner is the highest skilled player on each team. I know that's true in the case of University of Michigan. Ty is nearing that 7,000 MMR mark, so...
Oh my goodness, that is...
Yes.
Far too much. Wow, yeah, and I really like the point you brought up there because, right, if your mid laner wins, especially on something like a Puck and the Storm Spirit, you have a lot you can just do with that, right? Puck with the early blink, and of course Storm Spirit, any sort of early farm, allowing him to just zap onto the Drow and pick her off, because she's squishy for quite a while. But actually, we're just gonna have everybody and their mother in mid, and we will maybe see another D ward.
Indeed. Mid lane vision, too, is incredibly important. As we were mentioning, these mid laners need to snowball early, but as we saw the Ogre in the Coddle both smoke and TP mid for the wards, it was pretty clear that those wards would be dewarded.
Yeah, it's actually, now when you mention it, the smoke D-ward is quite comical in the sense of both teams went for it and neither team really got to keep theirs because they ran straight into each other right there. So
Is that 275 gold?
Yeah, I
Something
mean,
along those lines.
and both of them, the support's got the D ward, so that means that we'll have excellently upped couriers, next set of wards bought. But let's take a look at the side lanes. Well, because mid, it does look like Puck's a little behind, but there was definitely that early harass. On the off lanes, we got duels coming out of the Radiant. And,
Out of Radiant, that's interesting. As we were talking about with the Coddle, a Coddle without items is still effective, but that Aghanim Scepter really complements what they were going for with the early pushes, or at least what we thought they would be going for.
yeah, and
So,
it does look like Coddle is making sure to stack as he goes by to get this 2-minute rune, so does probably plan on doing a little bit of jungling, but for right now, just trying to make sure that Drow gets every single last hit, and she, well, we have a gank happening. Totally whiffed on that one. Looks like Storm Spirit tried to make something funky happen, and Coddle jumped him.
Mana Leak, still a good ability. You can nerf that as much as you want, it will still be picked up early.
Yeah, it's actually really nice. Both of these teams have some nice ways to deal with the strong heroes in their midst. Of course, that long silence coming out of Night Stalker will help with Puck, and then Mana Leak on the Storm or the silence from Drow, but maybe trying to make something happen. Just Ogre Magi, he's gonna fight them. He's got all the regen in the world, so he's just gonna take this instead of losing the mana. Night Stalker, also a tanky hero, coming around onto Coddle, but everybody's just kind of exchanging.
He is far too deep here.
He may be in a little bit of trouble. The frost arrows are coming out. He's just walking away, and now we're changing targets over onto Ogre Magi. Well, Night Stalker even turns around and is going on Coddle again. There is no fear on XD, whose name is unfortunate, but it looks like he made...
Oh.
Wands Up is just still running away, and yeah, he's just gonna lead him on a merry chase.
Curious decision to salve, but they're actually going to leave him alone. I thought he was going to go for an Ancient Deny, but if you could... Or a Neutral Deny, rather. If you could keep your life, though, and waste their time, that worked out pretty well for the Night Stalker.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed that nobody went down there for Radiant, but MSU bringing it. Now, we have to examine mid, because we do have something worrying. You mentioned 7,000 MMR. Both mids actually have quite a few lost hits, and...
Bot lane, though.
Oh.
Is he going to get out? Glimpse is already used. Pardon, mid lane.
Yeah, no, just, despite the kill on the Storm Spirit, I think it's even considering the kill, but of course Puck is starting to edge out, and the amount of denies in this lane is just huge, that mid matchup.
Oh, this is looking dangerous. Invis Rune on the Slardar. Storm knows, though. Backing up, playing it safe. That's curious.
Fortunately, his sentry did just expire, the sentry that got the mid ward, so he might not super know, but
Oh.
he's got an ally nearby. He should be fine. I'm not sure that Puck will come on over. Boots and Cats wants this. It's not happening. We've just got, which is unfortunate, right, for Slaughter, because he wasted all this time here. Really wants to get a kill out of it. Maybe this is it. Okay, we're going in. Slitherine Crush. There's the orb on through the glimpse, but it doesn't matter. He came from that side. And another kill there, while at the same time it looks like Venge kills off Night Stalker. Are we getting Disruptor? A double kill in top lane and Disruptor. One more auto attack will bring her down. Oof.
Wow. That was just disastrous for Michigan State. 2 different kills in 2 different lanes, and none of them favoring Michigan State. That's very rough for this squad that we were talking about. They need some early game pressure here to get this strat rolling.
Yeah, and the saving grace was that Phantom Assassin has been left relatively alone down here, but she, you know, is getting caught up to in CS by the Puck, and you're just gonna have to hope she can get very active, I guess. Speaking of, it is first night. Where do you think Night Stalker should focus his attentions?
It's just... Where does he go, right? Mid lane, you have the Puck, but without any disable onto the Puck, very difficult to take Puck down. He needs to get moving soon. I imagine he'd be wanting to grab a rune before heading towards mid lane, but looks like he's favoring the XP, and this first night's going to be wasted.
Yeah, he really needed to make something happen. Also, as you said, only level 4, so... Oh, are they doing the wraparound? We know Venge is just placing a ward, that's fine. Also, already infused raindrops. I'm really liking UVM's itemization here. Let's see if they're gonna get their murder on. Do you want to grab this one?
Oh, go for it.
Oh, well, we're gonna see a nice little fireball thrown out, but little do they know, Avengers right behind them, the stun onto Night Stalker, still trying to chase after Coddle, is doing a good amount of damage, and Drow as well. Ogre and Night Stalker just too tanky. Now they're gonna say hello to Venge, but there it goes, Coddle just backing him out.
And that's pretty telling for the lane, right? The Venge, as you were talking about the raindrops, actually no charges consumed there. She was left relatively untouched, but the Night Stalker not able to rotate out in time, and now they're too busy with this top lane.
Yeah. And unfortunately on mid, just gonna throw out some harassment. Didn't have the mana for that. And the blink, but we've got, well, the glimpse, we've got a kill on top, and maybe they'll be able to make it too. We have a TP coming in from Slaughter. Nice rotation there, and XD cannot follow on that Night Stalker. Gonna get stunned up there by the mana leak. Here comes another burst of Illuminate, and it's not looking good for Ogre Magi. I think he's going down. He paused there. I wasn't sure if he was buying out. He didn't,
He died with honor.
Yeah, he just decided to stand there and take it.
All in all, it's this dual lane for Michigan State not really working the way they want it to. They're able to stay in lane at the very least. Like, no one's being forced to the jungle. But other than that, it's just been not very beneficial for them.
Yeah, I do wonder the best way to recover. Obviously, you need to be aiming as the Night Stalker for the next night to be something good. He's working on those phase boots, but I wouldn't disapprove of going back for an Iron Talon. It sounds a bit ridiculous, but they really need to catch him up somewhere, and that top lane is just... They're not getting the kills, and he's not getting the farm.
Move made on the bot lane, though, from University of Michigan.
Yeah, both teams kind of posturing.
Lots of heroes in position here, and Sparta knows. The Spartans know. They're staying back.
Well, it is going to be not the most effective rotation, but at least they will clear one stack. Puck has already gone for that early Veil, so really going to shoot that farm up. And, yeah, it doesn't look like MSU really has a great response to this. Oh, did
they touch the smoke? I think they did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they saw the edge of that, PA did. There were also pings right there, although that may have been, I think they're there. To see how Storm reacts. Blank is going out to the creep wave.
He runs right into the wave.
Oh, they're rotating. They've got a lot of ways of stopping him. And oh, but the ward sees him because the smoke expired. And he's level 6, so he can just jet on out. Well, crisis averted. But not in the bottom lane, where there is the glimpse. The nice little Thunderdome is put up. Mercy, you need to crit again, and they do. There goes Slaughter.
Sushi for dinner. One cleave, and that fish is gone.
Yeah, so they are getting something here. Obviously, Puck highest net worth with those kills, but PA trailing, and you never know what some nice crit daggers can go. It does look like she might be going for the Vanguard build.
Night Stalker.
Oh gosh, yeah, just catching the end of that Illuminate. Did you catch
He's too
the
far
overclock?
up. It's... I understand he needs XP. He needs that level 6, and he needs to start making plays for his team, but standing on that side of the river and that far up, no less, that's just the death wish.
It's a really rough time, you know, trying to make sure that he does at least have 6 even for the next nighttime, but sometimes you just have to make those concessions, like you said, and back it up. But here we go. Let's see. Storm has an Invis rune. Not sure they'll be able to make much happen with it, but I think they really have to try. They are starting to fall behind in net worth. Only 2,000 and only 1,000 experience behind, but definitely a little bit troubling with running the Night Stalker Ogre.
I just want to touch on the early Veil pickup on the Puck, as you were mentioning earlier. It's
middle tower is under attack.
Not particularly common. It's definitely seen. It's not rare, per se. But oftentimes you'll just see blink into treads or something much quicker in order to make plays happen. But Puck putting faith in the team and just farming up will pay off dividends later.
Yeah, there's obviously some nice synergy out of Coddle. We actually have... Okay, never mind. Just a little skirmish bottom. It's used to be a build that was picked up a lot, right? When Veil was like really OP, but it hasn't, you know, obviously Veil got nerfed and then it became less popular, but I think just deciding, you know, PA probably won't want to go BKB first item, and if Puck can take advantage of that and just do massive amounts of magical damage, maybe you can make something happen. And also, look at all these stacks. I thought these were for Coddle, but apparently they're just for Puck to Veil Farm.
I guess we didn't really touch upon the impact of a well-farmed Puck. I'll swear to the ends of the earth by Caudalags. It is such a good item. However, Puck is pretty impactful with items, so you can't fault University of Michigan for wanting to accelerate this Puck at all.
Oh, they have the glimpse again back into the Thunderdome, and yeah, they should be able to get this one. We have a TP rotation, but for Venge, if she's not careful, they decide not to go on it.
Nice pickup there. Pretty much what Michigan State needs right now. Very little commitment. They were already in the lane, and pick up on Slardar, and slight misstep there from Michigan.
Yeah, it's especially great, right? Because they see that Slaughter has obviously not got the blink and they're just delaying that. That's really going to give them some space that they need here, because you've got a Puck who is very shortly going to have a blink. About one creep away, and there we go. You can go purchase that, and suddenly you've got a lot of initiation. If Slaughter has one as well, that's just terrifying.
It looks like they do want to... Michigan State, that is, does want to apply a bit of pressure. It's sitting 3 up in the top lane. Only for a Coddle. They are smoked up behind the tower, but no bite here. Wasted time again.
Yeah, it's just really... Oh, in the mid lane, the silence, but the stun does come out. Blank now returning onto the Puck, who doesn't have the orb. If they can get this kill, this will be pretty big. Drops the Dream Coil. Slaughter should be able to get the follow-up kill, but Puck already gone down. A huge amount of gold due to Puck's net worth. And there, Coddle will get the kill in the Storm, but yeah, it's worth like a third of it. So, big pickup there.
Absolutely, and there was no way for Puck to know that the Disruptor would be sitting behind there, but looks like Michigan State has run into some trouble.
Got a nice silence and good static storm. Mercy cannot get back in there and illuminate. Oh, she jumps in front anyway onto the bomber. He's trying to kill off that Drow. No, she goes down first instead. And now Nightstalker does get the kill, but needs to bail on out of there. Actually, salving up again. Where did that come from? And so, core for core.
Beautifully placed wall there from the Disruptor, to just like on the very edge to keep him out.
The Disruptor's been doing a solid job all game. It's sometimes hard to notice, and obviously it does feel a bit... Oh, never mind. We just murdering again. There we go. Puck blinks in. Ogre, despite being tanky, going down. Amp damages are flying up, but Storm wants to pick off Slaughter. The stun does go out onto Blank. Do they have any other way of holding him in place? Doesn't look like it. And now, oh, Puck actually coming on forwards, is silenced for another second. There goes the orb. Gonna now silence out Blank, and here comes Coddle with the Dream Coil. They get the pick.
Oh, the slobber knocker style of collegiate Dota. It's just non-stop aggression. And see some more here. Puck jaunts? Maybe not in his best interest to do so. Get out.
Yeah, I got the blink away, so it does end up working out. But yeah, PA has finished the Vanguard, right? And so Deso up next, hopefully. And actually,
all things considered, this could have been much worse for Michigan State. This was the first tower dropped by a Drow lineup at the 15-minute mark. So they've done a fairly good job of keeping these towers alive.
Yeah, I'm actually super impressed. I was just, like, the first tower drops and it's a deny, right? Like, yes, the Drow strat, you can argue, is now gonna come online. They've got the Puck blink for initiation. Coddle can pull people around and so on, but that's really good for you. And, oh, here we go. Radiant smoked up. See if they can get the jump. Oh, the silence though onto Nightstalker. Puck just goes on out, but is not on the same page as Drow. A beautiful silence, unfortunately, doesn't quite... Oh, it's actually gonna just murder everyone. Never mind, I was wrong. That's gonna be murder everyone. Mercy now trying to pick off the Drow here. Nightstalker does go down, but a 3-for-1, that's way worth.
Absolutely, and the perfectly timed rotation from Michigan State that just shuts down the Drow push yet again, and that's got to be huge for them, right? I mean, they were behind in gold to begin with Michigan's net worth lead. Picking up 3-for-1 there is absolutely the play to make.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with this Disruptor. I was trying to say earlier, I felt like the supports on Radiant are getting a little bit overshadowed by, you know, there was a bunch of stacking going on in Dire, so the puck shot up, but wow, just that static storm from Disruptor and the kinetic field, just locking them in place, just got so much gold over on, and it looks like it was, yeah, that puts,
Haste.
that doesn't quite put them ahead or anything, but, you know, that was like 1,000 gold going the way of MSU.
Looks like they'll just default back to the jungle now. After a few rounds of fighting, it looks like Michigan wants to get their Drow a bit farmed up. And only sitting on the Dragonlance and Aquila right now. It's a good set of stats, but I think they're going to be holding off until probably around the Yasha to start getting aggressive again.
Yeah, I wonder if MSU also wants to sit back and farm. They, of course, don't have the Bloodstone finished yet on Storm. Maybe want to wait for that. And they can certainly, you can always do with maybe getting a Glimmer Cape or something up on your supports to help out. So both teams might be content with a little bit of a farming period coming up here. Especially since it does seem almost like, it's always hard to say with Drow being amped by the Venge, but it might be a little bit easier for MSU the later this goes, with the fact that Storm can transition into more of that kind of painful to lock down ever carry.
And PA's been doing pretty well for herself as the game has progressed.
We have a little bit of murder, actually. Yeah. Will they get it, though, actually, with the blind? They need more damage, a beautiful swap, and now the silence, the static storm, but it's not quite enough ticks. Here we go, the Void should get it, and they finally pick off Drow. Slaughter on the back, though. He ends up getting stunned up, and there's a nice Illuminate going through. Phantom Assassin going down, Night Stalker gonna follow, and that's just not worth it.
Very, very good pickup there for Michigan State, getting the Drow at the Ancients. However, the return kills from University of Michigan might not have been exactly as planned. The Drow is the core identity of this strat. Puck is going around and making plays happen, but ideal if you want to take a tower, that Drow Ranger is alive.
On the other hand, MSU making good use of this Space Storm, trying to get that top tower. If they can trade evenly with a Drow lineup, right, we'll call it a win.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Bottom tower is under attack.
It's super cool to see the Puck and the Keeper of the Light on the same team as well. Just a lot of fun you can have with that Dream Coil. They either sit in and get hit by an Illuminate, or they run away and are stunned. But later in the game, especially with the Keeper of the Light knockback too, right, with the Dream Coil, very, very strong team fight from University of Michigan. Even though you typically equate this strategy with taking towers, it's gonna be pretty brutal for Michigan State if they don't grab the jump on Michigan.
Yeah, this is a really rough game to be someone like the PA, just because they have a lot of kiting abilities in the Frost Arrows, and of course with the blind, like a BKB does need to come up ASAP, and unfortunately you just need the damage from a Deso. So here we go, Drow is sieging the tier 2.
And yeah, that's gonna fall. Not much Michigan State can do here. They're sitting 4 behind the tower, but not gonna accomplish much from this.
Yeah, they're acting like they want to go. They need to do... Oh, they're just gonna deny it. Okay. Well, that was anticlimactic.
Well, the Hurricane Pike finish up for the Drow here. Pretty early timing on that. I would normally expect a Yasha before that, but I guess survivability has not been her strong suit so far.
Yeah, it might also be a little bit worried about making sure that they can force stealth people out of the kinetic field before it goes up. Because that's always a problem, so... But yeah, 4 stops, and we're probably gonna see one coming out of Slaughter soon. They very quickly take Roche, and MSU knows, but they can't get there in time, so... There we go. Easily done from the Dire.
Right under the noses, take the tier 2, take the Roshan, and that's about as good as you can get if you're Michigan. That's nothing Michigan State could do there safely, so very good play from them.
Boots just amp damaging the creep to make sure he gets the last hit. I like
25 mana for a last hit? I'll make that trade any day.
It's just always funny to see. So, good news on some item pickups. Let's See if I've missed anything. We do have the Glimmer Cape out on Ogre. I actually think that one could be super helpful because even though there's the amp damage, if someone hasn't been hit by it yet, right, in the early parts of the fight, maybe you get someone out. So that one can help out. And we do have the Bloodstone pickup on Storm. And he has an Arcane Rune, so this maybe is the fight they try for.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Or not.
Maybe, but they're just gonna take towers. It's the tried and true method of knock down the tier 2s and then see where your enemy stands on net worth. Looks like they're pushing up pretty confidently.
Yeah, I'm actually... I'm a little surprised U of M isn't further ahead on net worth, which is, again, a good job done by MSU, but unfortunately trading tier 2s for tier 1s isn't going to be working out.
Yep.
Radiant's top
And this net worth lead is only going to grow against or shrink rather, against a Drow strat. There's only so many outer towers you can take so safely. So as long as Michigan State keeps this gold deficit fairly even, you could always recoup the gold from the tower loss. So all in all, Michigan State behind, but not out, but team tiebreaker.
Yeah, there is the jump in, kinetic field, a static storm just onto the puck. It looks like they'll get this pick off though, and it might be worth it. Slaughter though is ripping away at their Phantom Assassin. She ends up falling first. Now puck goes down. Lim will fall, but of course that's the Aegis. Slaughter picked off in the backline, so some Bloodstone charges going out there for Storm. They're trying to pick off Drow again. They open with the stun. Venge needs to do something, but Swap's already being used, and Drow cannot get away. Gets picked off, and Storm looking to add another Bloodstone charge. All in all, 17.
Oh. Storm Spirit was just like so instrumental that fight, getting the pick onto the Storm right away, followed by the great Static Storm from the Disruptor, just holding them in place. And without the puck's initiation tools and damage, that fight was just doomed from the beginning. So very well played there from the Storm Disruptor getting in there, and then Storm just wreaking havoc for the rest of that fight.
Yeah, I think the only downside, of course, is this is, I think, the second fight where even though MSU has done in this fight really well, in the previous fight it was pretty even, the Phantom Assassin did get picked off a little bit early, so unfortunately she didn't get to get any of that gold, and an early gem pickup, I love it.
Early gem on the Ogre, yeah, that's a really good pickup, actually.
I'm a little surprised just because they are playing into a Kotl, and so when the Kotl does get the Ags, you really don't want to accidentally give the gem over, but of course, map control is the name of this game, so. And with that, we will see an Orchid picked up on puck. I don't know if we've had anything else big coming out of U of M. Not looking like it, which is actually pretty interesting, right? I don't know what, for this puck, what's up next? Do you have thoughts?
A soldier's fortune.
Well, with that, we will, the Forstaff being worked on here for Disruptor. So, that's always a good pickup. And hopefully will help get people away from the Slaughter or out of the way of Venge. But we're going to see a smoke. Maybe they can make something happen.
Pardon the delay in mic there. Yeah, the smoke, as you mentioned, coming in from University of Michigan, broke instantly.
Whoa.
Storms out of there.
What? So, oh, he might have seen one of them on the tip of that water. He may have just decided. No, he definitely saw one
Night
of them.
Stalker used darkness with the Aghanims, and it gave him vision of right over the hill there.
Good
Great position there.
point. Yeah, so this is going to be super nice, and maybe they can counter-initiate, although that's a hard ask. We can see here that Dire doesn't actually have great vision. They get the glimpse back. They need to leave this Venge to die, and they do.
Wasted aggression there from Michigan losing the Drow, and they have to scatter to the wind. So, all in all, I'm very impressed by this Michigan State team holding up against one of the juggernauts from last year.
Yeah, it's also a little unfortunate because it does mean that for the next 6 minutes they're down to their last smoke on U of M, just the one on the Venge. So if they want to make something happen, if it is a very early rush spawn, they may not be able to sneak it.
Is under attack.
But, here we go, tower push. They do not have Drow with them, so all of this positioning is just faking it out. Oh, she just TP'd in, never mind, I'm wrong.
Recalled by the Coddle, and that's one of the strengths. This Drow could pretty much always be relevant if she wants to. As Michigan State's pushing in, just have the Drow farm on the outskirts of the map, and Keeper could always bring her in if she's needed. So, overlooked facet of this is Keeper of the Light so far.
Oh, they actually immediately use the next smoke, so they're gonna go for it. Maybe we'll see them catch the Storm, which would of course be huge since he's up to 18 Bloodstone charges. Storm, I believe, sees them though. We can see the mad pinging that you mentioned earlier, and it looks like Disruptor will tank the gank. Ogre Magic's just going to try to walk away in the Glimmer Cape, but they drop a sentry. He is one more hit from going down, and there we go. We'll see him fall. Storm is going for this, though. So, Ham, Phantom Assassin in there, too. BKB being shown off here by Storm, and so he is just going to go hard. 10 seconds of that, while XD also trying to pick people off. That is not a crit dagger, and maybe they need to calm down, but no, they are just going on to this Coddle who melts the Storm. 21 Bloodstone charges. Silenced up here, though. Needs to maybe get on out, but no, they're going to try to work on killing the Drow. Storm goes down, does not manage to suicide. There is the Hurricane Pike, but Night Stalker, he wants none of this. He has to be careful. He has the gem. And he just drops that bad boy. Now Puck's just going to pick it up. Doesn't need that TP. Storm gets right back in there with that Bloodstone charge, but immediately silenced up. Now silenced again by the Drow. May just end up going down again.
Under attack.
And he does.
Wow.
A pity.
Incredible fight there from Michigan. Such discipline and trust in each other to go back in on that. Like the Drow, if Storm had gotten just a second more time unsilenced there, that Drow was dead. But to have the faith to go back in and help the Puck there, just know that he's got your back. It was very well played there from Michigan.
Yeah, I think it's also maybe a little miscommunication coming out from MSU, right? You've got to play a little bit more conservatively when you are the Night Stalker with the gem. Ideally, they'll be able to get that bad boy back, but for now, looks like Puck's going to be rocking it until Coddle gets the Ags. So, yeah, just unfortunately, bad team fight for them. We can see, actually, they've been doing a really great job, despite not taking towers, of getting the net worth back up to even, and of course that team fight's going to shoot it back up in the U of M's favor.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to touch a bit back onto the Puck's item build so far with the Orchid. I cut out in a rather unfortunate time, but I do think Hex is potentially on the horizon for the Puck here. Night Stalker is getting to a point where just simply his presence in the team fight is pretty intimidating. So
Yeah, I think
I am looking for a Hex on the horizon.
Hex, it's a little bit surprising in this team with such a long silence on the Night Stalker. A lot of Pucks would opt for the Yules, but decided to skip it, and so, as you said, a Hex, a Lincoln's to make sure, although Lincoln's is of course very difficult here with so many things that can block it, but might just, yeah, we'll see what this Puck decides on, but not having any trouble being locked down so far.
Keeper getting ever so close to that Aghanims as well, only 500 gold off, and that should really help increase the stamina of these Drow pushes.
Yeah,
Although with Night Stalker, that's pretty interesting. Could shut down the push of Michigan with simply a button press. So
yeah, it's actually really funny. There were a couple of teams that used to run Night Stalker with Coddle, which of course is very comical because having them on the same team, a lot of people are like, what? But of course you just have so much vision. And there we go. Aegis going to go the way of Drow. But yeah, maybe Night Stalker popping Night at an opportune time will stop a heal coming out from Coddle once that Aghanims is up. We'll have to see. Because it's definitely the push is coming. Now with the Ags up on Drow. You know they're going to be making their presence known.
Yep, tier 2 tower next on the list, and after this comes the hard part, breaking the high ground. And
Radiant's middle tower
Michigan
is under
State
attack.
does have quite a few tools to get Michigan down there on the
Dire's
low
top
ground,
tower
so
is under attack.
it will be given up, and you
Radiant's
can't
middle
expect,
tower has fallen.
you really can't expect Michigan State to fight into that, especially with Aegis up now on the Drow. It becomes a lot more difficult to fight into this lineup.
I think they're doing a good job having Storm
Dire's
push
top tower
as much as
is
he
under
can
attack.
while he's waiting. And let's see if we can get some crit daggers coming out of Mercy. She also has the BKB. Everybody's seen this, but if they can maybe use it in this team fight for the full 10 seconds, they can get something to happen. Come on, crit dagger. Not so much.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
And they really need some of these. Oh, Puck opening with the silence, but just harassing some.
Slow and steady wins the race here, and
Dire's
University of
top tower
Michigan
is
should
under
come out
attack.
ahead on gold here. Free reign over the jungle immediately, and then ever so slightly chipping at the tower every chance they get. So, the strength of that Aegis, can't really fight into it.
Yeah, it's a really hard fight here for MSU to take, and it's about to become... Oh, Puck again, just... Okay, they are trying to stop it, but Puck showing off that BKB that we see there. They immediately pick off Slaughter, though, so there'll be no stuns other than Puck's. Has already used that Dream Coil. BKB is going everywhere, and now they're working in on Drow. Glimmer caped up, the dust goes flying out. They're also glimpsing back Coddle so that he won't be in the fight, saving the Drow and Drow. No, they're just all missing on Drow. Drow finally goes down. You can see Coddle, of course, fall on this side, and now Drow alone, ready to be picked off. They should easily get this silenced up. Multicast to boot. And PA gonna end her.
And wow, just a slight misstep there from University of Michigan completely flips the script. I mean, the Slardar there, we saw the Puck, a very great static storm from the Disruptor there, prevents Puck from jaunting. So they have to react. Michigan has to react, and Slardar blinking into the static storm, just
Dire's middle
fish
tower
out of water.
is under attack.
Nothing he could do there, and he just falls.
Yeah, it was also a really, initially when I saw the static storm, I was like, oh no, what have you done? But it was actually, of course, excellent usage because the way the ticks work, the Puck couldn't jump, and then forced out that BKB, which wasn't, that means that, yes, it was the 10-second one, but there were about 3 seconds there where Puck really didn't want to be using the BKB in that position. So, another great job by MSU. Keeping themselves in this.
One team fight there from Michigan State, but it still almost feels like they're confined to their side of the map just due to all the pressure from Michigan State, or University of Michigan rather, pushing in. Man, that's going to be tongue twister today. University of Michigan. Speaking of which, smoked up. Looking for the storm, perhaps?
Yeah, they don't have... Oh, okay, Storm is just waiting for
great
his
scan.
TP. Yeah, also on point with that. Holy scan, seeing the smoke. Yeah, we're having some discussions about some folks being a bit surprised by the BKB on Storm. I think just because there are so many stuns and so many various silences, you don't want to be forced to Yules and take yourself out of the fight. Because Storm is one of the major sources of damage still. Yes, PA is doing a lot, but after that, of course, Storm is dropping a lot of damage, and especially zapping back to pick off someone like the Coddle, making sure you're not blinded. But here, Slaughter trying to make something happen, and that'll be a number of 4 stops getting him. But the full glimpse all the way back into Static Storm. They have to go on this. They use Static Storm, and there's the swap from Venge, and everyone will just walk away fine.
I was just going to mention, every botched Slardar initiation is potentially disastrous, because you noticed as soon as he missed, there were 2 force staffs used just to try to get him out of glimpse range as soon as they can, and it almost disastrous there for University of Michigan.
I mean, I was surprised they managed to get that glimpse off without the vision, but hey, well played.
Absolutely max range, right? That was 2 screens worth.
So, again, we're gonna see sieging, but again, Storm just doing a really great job of the split push. You just have to do this, right? He's got to try to make space. Either they have to come back, or maybe they get tower gold. Hey, someone finishes an item. So Blank just poking away at this... Oh, okay, he is just doing the TP thing. He thought they were a lot closer than they were. And the map drawings of, yes, they're all there, yeah, so they just lost vision.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Map control, yet again, falling the way of U of M. Storm getting a tower there is good. As you mentioned, he kind of needs to do this. They still feel almost suffocated to their side of the map. The only one you ever see cross the river is Storm, and for good reason. He has the tools and items to get out alive. But it's just not too much pressure coming the way of Michigan State.
Yeah, I have to say it though. I think that the longer this goes on, it's just really more comfortable for MSU. Yes, you can argue that Ogre Magi and Night Stalker lose some effectiveness, but I think that the PA and Storm just become so much stronger, and Drow, of course, does begin to fall off some. Now, of course, nobody's like 6-slotted or anything, but the longer this goes, I would just be more and more terrified of Phantom Assassin, even with her shrinking BKB.
And the other facet I didn't really consider is nighttime, and how well Michigan State needs to utilize the nighttime here, right? And while Michigan will most likely be pushing during the day for the obvious reasons of the Keeper of the Light Aghanims, the Night Stalker is able to make a lot of plays should they roam out as 5, although looking like they're playing it pretty safe for now.
Yeah, both teams out of smokes. Let's see if
There's one on the Ogre?
there's
On the
okay, no, yeah, there's
Disruptor.
one on Disruptor, and they're actually just literally doling out the smokes and the dust to make sure they don't miss this stuff. And I believe they should be out of smokes on U of M, because I feel like U of M has been smoking whenever it's available, which is great to see, but also does put them at a bit of a disadvantage. Also a really weird smoke coming out from MSU because, okay, Storm's gonna TP and that's how they're gonna do this. Here we go. They are looking for Lim. Where is the dust? There's gonna be a static Storm on top, but immediately the swap, saving the Drow for now at least. Disruptor has gone down, but having already dropped that toolkit, it may not matter too much. Ogre now gonna fall, and Slaughter just standing there needs to get on out, but instead he'll fall. And that is a huge win. The sketchy looking smoke doing work.
2 for 2 in the end. I mean, that could have been far, far, far worse for University of Michigan. The swapping out as the Venge, the necessary evil. You know, Drow's, or Venge rather, is always going to be sitting on a pile of deaths. So,
Yeah, and
life for the cause, but I feel like Michigan just keeps getting picked. And yes, they got 2 kills this time. That's far better than their last 2 or 3 teamfight results. And as you mentioned, Michigan State, the longer this goes on, the more time the PA has. And
yeah, I am just not. I mean, I would not want to, because obviously the crit daggers and Night Stalker, even you can transition into being a right pane. You can build more harder right clicking items. You can supply your team with an AC, which is sure something that Slaughter may also end up going, but because of the Disruptor and other heroes, he just has to have so many mobility
Dire's
items
top tower
first.
is
So
under attack.
anyway, time will tell. It looks like they did take an opportunity to get some map vision up, so the map isn't as dark for either sides, and Storm is in the trees, doing stuff.
Dire's top tower
I feel like there's
has
been more
denied.
tower denies than actual destructions this game. I think that's the 3rd or 4th this game.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that. I mean, just good on the teams, and part of that, I think, the fact that it's so scary to stick around, right, with the Disruptor, and then also on U of M with their plethora of stuns.
Storm's still hanging out.
I don't know if he doesn't have any vision, so I don't think he's looking for that back pick, but I think he's just maybe hoping to creep cut, delay the push.
Indeed he is.
Yeah, so nice pick off. Showing off, of course, that Shiva's. And also, okay, well zipped away.
Right on time.
And they're actually gonna back on out. So U of M just gonna defend against their lanes, pushing some. Yeah, you're Phantom Assassin here. What do you go next? Because I am concerned about. Oh, well, apparently she's just finishing the Abyssal, but she's got 3K. She could buy herself something nice.
Pretty hefty there, and lots of tools from U of M to take her down potentially. I mean,
Stupendous!
me personally, I'm a big fan of Manta. Not as great as it formerly was, but there is a good amount of silence in these fights, and Phantom Assassin does want to have her daggers, her blinks up. So, yes, she's not extremely reliant on her abilities, but I do like potentially a Manta here. Although, she has options. She has a lot of avenues she could take.
Yeah, I also wonder with Coddle now having the Ags if PA will feel forced into an MKB, but it's not great, but I don't know. We'll just have to see. They know about the Roche, but of course it is a Drow, so this Roche with Slaughter buff, so the Roche does go down. That is cheese. Gonna be a nice kinetic field just to keep the bad guys out. And yeah, Drow, another Aegis. See if this one can treat her better.
3 for 3 on the Aegises and not much coming from them. So yeah, this Aegis really needs to go the extra mile for U of M. I think the cheese is up on the Slardar. Yes, it is. We'll probably see that pass to her after a death, unless the fight turns disastrous like the last few.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going wrong for U of M. It does just feel like Drow keeps getting initiated upon, and that makes it very difficult because, of course, the marksmanship goes away. So I'm not sure if that's the issue, the positioning, or something else. But there have been new items. You know, Coddle trying to keep himself alive better with this Ghost Scepter, so maybe that'll do it.
And every time Storm goes in, the Drow is in immediate danger. So there's the follow-up Static Storm, there's the Ogre, there's the Silence from the Night Stalker, and it's up to the Venge to get her out. So Venge will die. More often than not, I'd say the Drow will live, but from there on it's a 4v5, and that fight's essentially over unless better damage was dealt on the outskirts of the fight, so...
The item you were talking about, the Scythe of Vice, is up, so that does start to get pretty scary for MSU. Oh, they are going to run right into each other. We have a zip forwards. There is the silence. There is Blank getting sheeped up. He's stunned now as well. He's going to be saved here, though, due to a nice Static Storm forcing out that BKB. Storm Spirit picks up the Venge. They've immediately burned the Aegis, and this thing is just cursed. Even Ogre Magi, will he get away? No, one more auto attack, but he gets up the multicast, and Puck needs a way out. Doesn't have it. Drow in that BKB, but that doesn't save you from auto attacks, and she is most likely going to fall here. And this could actually be the push on the bottom lane for Radiant.
What a swing! I mean, an unopportune fight, by all means. Running uphill and straight into the Phantom Assassin is not what you want, but as you mentioned earlier, this Phantom Assassin is just getting out of control. Jumped on the Puck, did huge amounts of damage, popped Drow Aegis almost instantly, and from there it was just very little you could do against a BKB Phantom Assassin just wailing on your cores.
Yeah, and also due to that Desolator, they will melt these buildings. So, there we go. Storm jumping forwards. Coddle just immediately going, no, don't touch me. And yeah, that's going to be breaking the base for MSU.
And after one fight, Michigan State has gotten more racks than these continual pushes from U of M, and it's just... This Phantom Assassin is just such a threat. Looks like the Manta is going to be finished up right now for her, too, and... Boy, how do you take her down now?
Yeah, It's definitely concerning. They can still pick her off if they might maybe catch her out of position. They do have quite a bit of magical damage, but you know, that requires they have to hit the Veil, Puck would have to hit all the spells, Coddle would need to get the nice fully charged Illuminate, and I'm not sure the Coddle has the time in these fights to do that, so yeah, scary stuff.
Scary stuff indeed, and U of M just cannot survive these fights. Currently no mechanism with them for either team, actually. So these fights are more or less one and done. The only heals you're expecting are that of the Keeper, and not really reliable against the Night Stalker.
That's actually a really super interesting point you bring up. Obviously, looking at these heroes, I would say that Coddle could definitely be a fine mech carrier, but both sides don't have anyone who's considered like super ideal, but they don't even have an urn across the board. So, interestingly, these fights, you know, there's just, as you said, it's Coddle heal, but they can force it to be nighttime, so that's not available, and it's just brute force. And we are running smokes into smokes. Who do you think's gonna win? I need you to call it now.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, apparently, okay,
we're... give the edge to MSU. Oh,
we're Benny Hilling.
That's awkward.
I mean, is it awkward, though? This may actually be the optimal play for Dire, to not run into the Radiant Smoke.
I feel like Michigan State would have just absolutely crushed that fight, especially with a good static field or a static storm right off the bat.
Oh, they're going into the base! Oh no, I got really excited. There's smoke war out, but definitely occasionally you do see smokes into bases as a play. Are they just hanging out here? They are. The scan is available for Dire. And Okay, Radiant doesn't have this. That's why they're all like, no, it's time to chill out. So, okay. Well then.
That probably would have been a Rax or game-ending fight there. Just from... when you have two teams run head-on into each other like that, it's often very little survivors. So, perhaps in the best interest of probably U of M not to get into that fight, being Rax down.
So, we get to go back to probably a little bit of farming, gonna just make sure that they're not getting pushed at all in top lane. Disruptor getting close to that Aghanim Scepter, only about 1200 gold away. And Ogre Magi does have the Lotus Orb, so this is painful now. If the Ogre doesn't go down, he can just always save Storm Spirit from that sheep. And Storm, his own sheep. When did that just appeared?
Wow. It's so scary, this Storm, sitting on 21 Bloodstone charges. They have to keep a leash on him in these fights. He will just be causing so much havoc amongst the back line, and you have to give it up for the supports of Michigan State. I think their support play has been impeccable this far, always being in the right position. These glimpses have been top-notch, and well-played Static Storms, and Ogre being Ogre. It's just, they really have helped Michigan State get back into this game after, you know, lots of deaths early, and against the Drow strat, keeping towers up. I'm very impressed.
Quality multicasting. But yeah, I agree. I just think this Disruptor, like, there have been a couple places where there were like Static Storms on just the puck, and at first I was like, oh, you gotta hit more than, you know, in your head. You're like, you gotta hit more than that. And it's like, no, you really don't. Because so much of the net worth on Dire is on that puck. So.
And now, Disruptor going for Aghanims as well. Puck can no longer BKB out of these Static Storms should that happen again, so... Very interesting. If this game drags on longer, I expect team fights to swing even more in the favor of MSU.
Well, they gotta look for that pick first of all. Teams generally want to find a hero to get rid of before they siege, but maybe they'll just go for it. Slaughter goes for the stun onto Blank with the crit! And the multicast. Mercy does pop the BKB, maybe a little preemptively. No, Storm is going in, gonna help follow her up. BKB being shown off on the Drow. Mercy is taking some damage, but so is the Drow. Swapped away, Vent immediately dying, but Storm is not done with Drow yet. Zipping forwards, picks her off. And there is only buyback on Drow. Can they pick off the Puck? Yes, they can. Puck immediately buying back. Mercy starting to work on that tower. Maybe wants to go for mid, the one that the rest of the team is on. But in fact, they'll just back up and get the creep wave. And now 3v5.
This is the hardest fight for U of M.
Oh, the Hex, the counter Hex, the Lotus Orb saving her. Mercy gonna keep going on in, pops the Monta to get more damage out there. Multicast onto the Drow, forced to stand still. Shiva's coming out to slow everyone down, and this is it, the death throes of U of M. And it's looking like first game going to MSU.
The Phantom Assassin just had so much free reign in these fights, able to do whatever she wanted, really, and that'll do it. Michigan State picking up a game off of U of M, grand finalists last year. What a start to the year for them.
Yeah, it's good business. So with that, folks, this is going to be the end of game one. We've got some more coming up. We're going to be a short break between, you know, get everyone back in the lobby. I'm Llama. I've been joined by Chaz, and we'll see you again shortly.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.